So you speak to the tendency to want to control, right? And part of that is wanting to control what is normal, what is expected, what we want to see in our community. And often we find the people who are on the margins of society aren't invited into that space. And it's often subconscious, right? People wouldn't come out and say, yeah, we don't welcome people with disabilities. In fact, most signs say everyone welcome. But when it comes to those little interactions, it tells a different story. It tells that we expect a certain range of what it means to be human. And if people do things that fall outside of that, or we're just unfamiliar with how they approach the world, then that can lead to discomfort, right? And again, not because of the person who has been marginalized, but because of somebody's own experience, because of their own projections onto the world. And so with people with intellectual disabilities, for instance, and that experience of marginalization, we almost become confronted with our own marginalizing tendencies, right? We become confronted with our own brokenness, and that's not something that we want. That's something that does take a miracle, right? It does require God to work in our lives in order to welcome people that we're not initially open to. So I believe that is one of the ways that God is breaking into our churches today as we learn to confront our own biases and to welcome
yes,
people who maybe don't fit the norm, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think modern society, I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, or all kinds of people like yourself talking like this, but I think we want to quickly put people into categories, manage, and think about what that does. Like here in the States, we're so aware of, like me as a white man, what it means to be a white man, white privilege, white supremacy, all the issues there. And so I'm aware of how that gaze puts everybody into this particular frame. And this is just so works against the way God wants to work in the world. And so the invitation to the intellectually disabled people of our lives into church, into His presence, and us into their presence, just creates, I think it's a disruptive, it's disruptive to all those dynamics we were talking about just a few minutes ago, and makes possible a whole new experience of God. Now, why would we not want to do that? Well, we're modern people, and we want church to last an hour and 15 minutes, and we want things to go like this, and we want to know how long am I going to have to be there and why? And we're just missing the opportunity to experience the living God through Jesus Christ by His Spirit. We have no idea what God wants to do here. This is the disruptive aspect of God's presence. And so I know it's sometimes very hard in the modern sociological orbits of our lives to say, I need to make time for this. But if we don't, we are going to live a very dry, flat Christian life that no one will find appealing, and it will be very boring. And we will not maybe ever truly experience the presence of God the way we're talking about today. This is why I think the invitation to intellectually disabled people to be among us and us among them can be a game changer for the church.